It's the Big E Sports Extravaganza.
It's a tradition.
Your weekly destination for all things going on in the sports universe. We don't just talk X's and O's. We go beyond them. Bringing you some of the most engaging guests from around the nation. Fasten your seatbelts. It's showtime. Now, here's your hostess with the mostest, Elissa Walker Campbell.
Hey, Elissa Walker Campbell. Welcome back to the Big E Sports Show. And the NFL offseason is one of the most fascinating stretches on the sports calendar. Free agency moves, the trades, roster reshuffling, and teams positioning themselves for the upcoming draft. We are so excited to have joining us now to break it all down, one of the sharpest voices covering the NFL offseason and the draft process. He covers the power rankings and the roster movement, and that is Eric Edholm from Sporting News. Good to have you with us, Eric.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Looking forward to, as the countdown is on for the NFL draft, April 23rd. But I just wanted to get your pulse and assessment. When you step back and look at this offseason so far, what storyline stands out to you the most?
Yeah, I think the one that has probably resonated the most has been the move that didn't happen, and that was Max Crosby getting traded to the Baltimore Ravens, only to have that rescinded later once it was reported they got some cold feet. They looked at his medical evaluation after meniscus surgery this offseason, and apparently were a little spooked by what they saw. And you know, I say this all the time, with 32 different NFL franchises, you're going to get 32 different medical opinions. There's no doubt that there would be some teams that could look at the same information on Max Crosby and say, great, sign us up, we'll take him. But because the trade went through and then was pulled back, he's a Raider now. Max Crosby is back with the Raiders, and the question is, will they keep him? They made subsequently several moves after that, assuming that his money would be off the books. Then it was not. So they're put in a tough spot. They can afford him now. They're under the apron right now and can still pay him. But it might limit some of their movement elsewhere. And who knows? Do they readdress trading him? If they do, I don't think the Raiders would get the same price they did the first time, which was 2 first-round picks.
Well, Eric, we talk about that's one of the big storylines, but also Kyler Murray signing with the Vikings. That was, I have to tell you, an intriguing move in this free agency cycle.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, he was one of the names that we were most curious about. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa going to Atlanta was another one. But, you know, Kyler Murray, I think, is somebody who is hoping to take the Sam Darnold route, right? Darnold went through the Minnesota car wash and had a great season under Kevin O'Connell. He'd spent a season on the bench in San Francisco before that. He then parlayed that into a 3-year deal in Seattle and won a Super Bowl his first year there. So I think Murray is looking for kind of the same career reboot, if you will. He's taking a minimum salary because he's still getting paid from Arizona, who cut him with money, guaranteed money still left on his deal. So it's a great opportunity for him, and they can't franchise tag him next year. So Murray, I believe, is the favorite to start ahead of J.J. McCarthy, who was their first-round pick a couple years ago. And, you know, they traded up to get him. They got him with the 11th pick in the draft, or 10th pick, whatever it was. Obviously made a big investment in him. But based on what we've seen in an injury-plagued 2 years, they needed something else. And Murray has a chance now to kind of show what he can do. We've seen other guys like Daniel Jones, Geno Smith before him kind of have that career reboot.
Yeah.
And I think Murray has an opportunity there to do the same thing with Justin Jefferson and one of the best offensive coaches in the league.
Well, Eric, how do you see the competition unfolding in Minnesota? And I also have to wonder, what does it say about the Vikings' long-term plan at quarterback?
Yeah, no, great questions. I mean, obviously McCarthy will have a chance to win this. You know, Murray's been inconsistent in his career. He's had some moments where he's played like on the verge of being a star. You know, the injury that he suffered 2 years ago, I think, slowed him down. His recovery was pretty impressive, but last season was sort of a soft benching. I mean, you know, he had an injury. Both parties agreed not to try to push it. He would end the year on IR. And that effectively ended his Cardinals career. Who's to say that something else couldn't come up in Minnesota, or that, you know, he's just not the same quarterback we thought he could be a few years ago. So I think there will be a competition. I think Murray probably comes in as the favorite, given the fact that, they've got an opportunity here to get the most out of him. McCarthy may not be ready yet again. And, it's pressure time in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell's got to win, and they've got to prove themselves.
Well, we have seen teams place a huge emphasis on flexibility and shorter contracts this offseason. Eric, is that becoming a new strategy for front offices in this modern salary cap era?
Yeah, well, I think also the longer you spread a deal out, and the guaranteed money gets spread out over the length of that contract. So if you sign someone to a 5-year deal and cut them after the second year, you're still paying the piper for those 3 unpaid years. And that dead money can be a real kind of boat anchor on some teams. We've also seen teams survive it pretty well, like the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson had a ton of dead money. 2 years later, they're hosting the AFC Championship game. So it's not a death knell necessarily, but to your point, those short-term deals, they can also be beneficial for players. Like when we talked about Murray, 1-year contract, minimum salary, he's betting on himself. Yes, he's got the fallback payment from Arizona, essentially. So, there's only so much double dipping you can do. But, I think this is an opportunity to be a free agent sooner. And that's also appealing to certain players, especially when they're able to work in the no franchise tag clause into their deal. That gives them unfettered free agency as opposed to potentially being shackled by the team and prevented from going anywhere without them having an opportunity to re-sign you.
NFL Media joins us from Chicago. That is Eric Edholm, breaking it all down as we're talking about quarterbacks. Let's shift gears and let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa now with the Falcons. What did you think about Atlanta bringing in Tua?
Yeah, the all-lefty quarterback room. How about that? There was a time not too long ago, about a decade ago, we had 0 left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL. Now we got 2 on one team. It's a starting over for all parties. For Michael Penix coming off a knee injury, for Tua coming off an injury-plagued career and his time spent in Miami, and Kevin Stefanski, the coach who was in Cleveland, had some good years there, but wasn't able to maintain his job and wasn't able to see it all the way through with the Browns. So the talented Falcons team, they've tagged Kyle Pitts. They have Bijan Robinson. They have the makings of a very good offense with Drake London, offensive line. It's a fascinating situation for whoever wins that job. Tua absolutely will get the chance, especially with Penix still rehabbing an injury. Kind of like with McCarthy, I don't think they've given up on him yet. But I think they also recognize that not having a veteran option with some serious starting experience would be a mistake. And that was a mistake that Minnesota made last year, which I think kind of prompted them to get Murray. Atlanta looks at the situation probably pretty similarly and say, yes, we know Tua has an injury history. He's also got 4,000-yard passing seasons on his resume. And in a dome with big weapons, a creative offensive mind, like Murray, it could be an opportunity for Tua to kind of reset his career a little bit and remind people of the talent that he had. And he won a national title there as a freshman in that same building. So a little bit of a homecoming for him as well.
That's a great point. But, I have to wonder too, could this become one of those low risk, high reward signings if, say, injuries or performance issues do arise?
I think it's absolutely the kind of, it was, I think both guys, Murray and Tua, both ended up in really good spots to best give themselves a chance at, restarting their careers and, playing like the highly touted quarterbacks they've been in the past. Both guys were top 5 draft choices. Both had sterling moments in college football. Both have had good moments in the NFL. It makes some sense, obviously, given the fact that, McCarthy's been inconsistent and injury prone. Michael Penix in Atlanta is coming off a season-ending injury. He's going to be on the mend. This is going to be Tua's team this offseason. He's going to have a chance to kind of make his mark. Now, how long that arrangement lasts, we'll see. Like Russell Wilson in New York last year. They tried to make him the starter early in the year. It wasn't really taking, and eventually they went to Jackson Dart, who, was getting Rookie of the Year votes. So it's never guaranteed that these guys can come in and start fresh and get that 17 games starting season or anything like that. But if they make the most of it, it could be very beneficial.
Eric, give me a hit on Geno Smith. I mean, what was your reaction to the Raiders trading Geno Smith to the Jets?
Not shocking that they moved on from
him.
A little bit surprising that a team would, especially the way he played last year and the way that the offense played. And look, you can say it was Chip Kelly's fault. You can say that they didn't have enough talent. You could say that the offensive line was doing a horrific job for him, or that the protection schemes weren't good. I think a lot of those things all could apply to the situation. He's on the, obviously in the back half of his career. He's a tough guy. He's taken a lot of hits over his career, and I love that Geno has kind of remade his, on the back half of his career. He's really changed the narrative about him and did some great things in Seattle. However, beyond this year, boy, it's going to be hard to. Right now they don't have a quarterback on the roster who they think is the future, quote unquote. I don't think they want Brady Cook starting games again. Nothing against Brady, but undrafted rookie last year. The 2027 draft is believed to be potentially full of some interesting quarterback prospects, far more interesting than the group we have in this year's draft. So a lot of teams seem to be kind of slow playing the quarterback position, like Minnesota, like Atlanta, like Geno Smith going back to the Jets. He's a different quarterback than when he was first there, but I don't think this can be viewed as anything other than a bridge move, a short-term move, a time-buying transaction for them to kind of figure out, is there a quarterback in next year's draft that we like, or do we have to take a different route, and how long can Geno give us? That's really the question, because they're shorthanded offensively. They've got a lot more moves to make to be a proficient offensive team with him.
NFL media, Eric Edholm, our very special guest. We're starting to wind down our time. Looking forward to the NFL Draft 2026, round 1, Thursday, April 23rd. It'll be here before you know it. And certainly one of the big names that has created a lot of buzz is Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. What stands out about him the most when scouts evaluate his game and project him going to the next level?
He's a real big kid. He's got some athletic ability. I don't think you'll ever see him be a scrambler, even on the same level as a Drake May or a Justin Herbert or something like that. But I think he can kind of get to that Sam Darnold, Jared Goff type of tier. He reminds me a lot of Sam Bradford, who was the number one pick about, a decade and a half ago. I can't remember how long it's been now, but injury-prone guy that I think, had he been healthy, would have been a very good NFL career. Just got ravaged by injuries. But I think you see a lot of the same things. Natural athlete, Mendoza, 6'5", 225. That's a prototypical quarterback build, especially someone who moves as well as he does. Arm strength is, I would say, adequate to average. It's not anything special. It's something he can get better with. That's something that he can improve. Tom Brady did not enter the league with a rocket arm. Peyton Manning was never known as a fastball thrower, if you will. So those are things he can improve on. His timing is pretty good. His accuracy is excellent. I think his toughness and his smarts will serve him well. But is he this no questions asked, generational type of foundation piece? I don't think so. I think he's good. But I think he's going to have some challenges early in his career, especially for, assuming he goes to the Raiders. It's a Raiders team that has some challenges, even with a new center, Tyler Linderbaum, even with Brock Bowers and Ashton Jenney. There's an incomplete picture right now, and he's not a good enough player right now, I don't think, to overcome all that or clean up all the mess there.
So I hear you saying that maybe teams view him as a developmental quarterback with a lot of upside, not as a potential starter.
Yeah, and I think he'll start from day one. I really do.
You do? Okay.
There's a possibility, but I just think he's going to have to work through some things. I think he's going to have to speed up his operation a little bit. I think he's going to have to get adjusted to how fast NFL rushers will be on him. Sometimes he's almost too tough. He takes too many hits, and that's going to be detrimental for his long-term health. So, there's a balance there. I think it's about adjusting to NFL football for him, I think, is really the biggest thing. And, more voluminous playbook. I think he's a smart kid, competitive, went to Cal, started for multiple schools, has that great underdog story. I think he's going to be one of those, he's never going to be denied based on his will. He will try to quarterback he possibly can. But I just think there are going to be some limitations to what he can do. We saw Cam Ward, the number one pick, struggle this year, and I could see, a similar level of struggle for Mendoza as a rookie.
We have focused a lot of our conversation on the quarterbacks. My final question for you is give some love to Kenneth Walker III, lands with the Chiefs. And so talk about his addition and what he's going to mean for Andy Reid.
Yeah, there was a big debate in kind of Chiefs world this offseason. Do we need a running back or do we not? Or how much do we invest in the position? A lot of fans kind of felt like, hey, we found guys like Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt with lesser investments. Why are we talking about using the number 9 pick in the draft or spending money on a free agent? The Chiefs clearly felt different, spending $14 million per year on Kenneth Walker, very top of the money or top of the market running back money there. Obviously coming off a career high, one of his best seasons, and of course the Super Bowl, he was the MVP, but he's been very steady for 4 years. He's a 3-down back, catches the ball well, good inside, outside runner. They added Amari DiMercato, who's a good 3rd-down back as well. So they've clearly put a lot in the backfield. And it will be more important with Patrick Mahomes coming off the injury. And, week 1 is still his goal, but he could miss a big chunk of the offseason. So having that kind of that fallback option, if you will, with a stronger run game, because they really couldn't run the football last year, I think it's going to help them as Mahomes gets back to full strength.
Yeah. NFL media, draft analyst, NFL free agency, breaking it all down as we look forward to the draft next month. That is Eric Edholm. Connect with our audience. Where can they go and find all of your articles online?
Yeah, NFL.com is the place to go, and we've got a lot. Obviously, we've been breaking down all the free agency moves, and I'm kind of pivoting to draft mode now, as you kind of teased there. And,
yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to look at every year. It's an interesting class. I think it's going to be strong on defense, strong at wide receiver, a little weaker at quarterback and running back, but there's talent every year. I can't wait to see how the picks start coming off.
Absolutely. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you so much for carving out some time. We look forward to connecting and doing a review of this year's draft. Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
You bet.